Hello guys, today we'll discuss about the topic homeostasis. Now, first of all, what is the meaning of homeostasis? Homeostasis, it comes from two words. Homeo means same and stasis means standing. So the term homeostasis means maintenance of nearly constant or steady internal environment, okay, or maintenance of static condition in the internal environment. The term homeostasis was given by the scientist W. B. Cannon. Okay. Now, another terminology here, that is internal environment, which is also known as milieu interior. Here, what is this internal environment or milieu interior? Now, this terminology was given by the scientist Claude Bernard. Multicellular organism like we people, they are living in well organized as well as controlled internal environment. Our internal environment is always controlled. Our cells, they are living in extracellular fluid. Okay, and this extracellular fluid means the fluid outside the cell. Suppose these are the cells. Fluid outside the cell, which is known as extracellular fluid, which forms internal environment for the body. Okay, so milieu interior means internal environment, that is water based medium. You can see here, this is extracellular fluid, this is fluid. Mainly this extracellular fluid, it consists of two things. Number one is blood, which is there inside the blood vessel, and other is interstitial fluid. We will discuss in detail about this in our body fluid topic. Okay. Now, what is the importance of this extracellular fluid? For example, suppose if you are sick, you have fever or you have any other pathology, what your doctor suggests? They ask you to go for the blood test. Why blood test? Because blood is our internal environment. So whenever there is any deviation in our body, this is depicted by blood test. For example, suppose you have infection, then your count will be changed. So this is by knowing about the internal environment, we can come to know whether we have normal homeostasis or not. Now, another important thing here is, suppose our cell requires glucose. So how our cell gets its glucose? From this extracellular fluid, which is known as internal environment. Suppose our cell produces carbon dioxide or waste products. This carbon dioxide and waste products are excreted in this extracellular fluid, interstitial fluid and blood, and it is transported to the excretory organs. Okay, so this is the importance of internal environment. Okay. Now, so what is this internal environment and what is the deviation of internal environment? So now when our internal environment deviates from the set point, now, and when the set point means when the internal environment gets deviated, that results in malfunctioning. Now, what do you mean by the set point? Set point is ideal normal value of a variable. For example, if I would say my hemoglobin concentration is between 12 to 16 gram per deciliter. So this is a set point. When it is less or more, then you can say our body suffers from malfunction. So this is set point, ideal normal value of a variable. Okay. Now, factors involved in the maintenance of internal environment. They are, number one is body temperature regulation. Okay. For body temperature regulation, we have various organs and systems, they regulate our body temperature. Then second is water electrolyte balance, that is also very important to maintain homeostasis. pH regulation, if the pH is acidic or alkaline, then body suffers from malfunction. Nutrient supply, oxygen supply, enzymes and hormone supply. So our cells, they require all these substances. Waste products removal, that is also an important factor which is important for the maintenance of homeostasis, and various substances are transported, that is also very important for homeostasis. Now, next is we have role of various systems. Our various body systems are important for maintenance of internal environment for the homeostasis. So first is extracellular fluid. As I told you, extracellular fluid means, suppose these are our cells. fluid outside the cell is extracellular fluid. It is extracellular fluid which forms our internal environment, milieu interior. Okay, and as I told you that cells, they get their oxygen, they get the nutrients from extracellular fluid, and they excrete all the waste products in the extracellular fluid. So whenever our cells or our system or our organs, they are not functioning properly, what happens? This extracellular fluid composition gets changed. For example, suppose somebody's kidneys are not working, then what happens? Waste product concentration increases. Waste products are increased in extracellular fluid. So doctor advised for serum creatinine. Okay, so this is the way how milieu interior or extracellular fluid is very important. Okay, and extracellular fluid is equal to our blood plus interstitial fluid. Fluid part of blood is plasma. So these two, they form extracellular fluid. Now, second important system for the transport of nutrient and oxygen. We require various systems for the transport. So first of all, we require this nutrients inside our body. So for that we have digestive system. We are getting the nutrients inside the body. So for that we have digestive system. For oxygen requirement we have respiratory system. And for transport we have cardiovascular system. So they are also very important for homeostasis. Third, excretion of metabolic waste products. Our cells, they produce various waste products by the metabolism, and this metabolic waste products are excreted. For example, digestive system, it excretes. If suppose we have taken whatever food which is not digested, undigested food, or sometimes we have taken bacteria, we have taken toxins, okay, and undigested food, they all are excreted by digestive system in the form of feces. Then liver also excretes bile pigments. Also it excretes bacteria, toxins, certain drugs, very important, as well as heavy metals. Lungs, they excrete carbon dioxide and water vapor. Water vapor. Then kidneys, very important, kidneys, they excrete water soluble waste. You will never find anything insoluble in urine. So water soluble waste, urea, uric acid, creatinine, they are excreted by kidney. And skin, in the form of sweat, they excrete water as well as salts and waste. Water, salts and waste products. Okay. So three systems we have discussed. Will continue. One, that is extracellular fluid. Second is nutrient and oxygen transport. Third, that is excretion of metabolic waste products. Fourth, that is regulation of acid-base balance. Our pH is very important for various enzymatic reactions. Okay. Normal pH of our body, very important thing here I am telling you, whatever values I am telling, they are from standard textbook. So please follow that, don't follow any other book for the value. So that is normal pH is 7.38 to 7.42. It is normal pH. When the pH is less than 7.38, this is known as acidosis. And when it is more than 7.42, that is known as alkalosis. Okay. Whenever there is acidosis, that results in coma because our neuronal activity is reduced, and alkalosis increases neuronal activity. So that results in your convulsions. Okay. Now which systems they regulate acid-base balance? One is body fluid buffer. In our body fluid, we have various buffers. If any substance or any acid is added in the body fluid, our buffers, they regulate the pH, bring it back to normal. Respiratory mechanism, by excreting carbon dioxide, because now this carbon dioxide binds with water to form carbonic acid, H2CO3, which is a weak acid, but it is acid. So this is also regulated by respiratory system. And renal mechanism is most powerful. Renal is a powerful mechanism for regulation of acid-base balance, though it is slow acting. Fastest one, that is respiratory, body fluid, respiratory, then third one is renal. Then regulation of body temperature, that is also very important because we people are homeothermic animals. Homeothermic means we are warm blooded. We maintain our internal temperature near the set point. What is the normal body temperature? You must know that this is 36.3 degrees Celsius to 37.1 degrees Celsius, normal body temperature. Okay, and for regulation we require various working system and regulating system. Working system, that is our skin. Okay, cardiovascular system through blood circulation, respiratory system, blood also, skeletal system, and for regulation we have nervous system. We have hypothalamus which regulates our body temperature. In hypothalamus we have a thermostat. What is this thermostat? Thermostat means hypothalamus has a set point. Means this is a set point of our body temperature. When our body temperature is above 37.1, our heat loss centers in the hypothalamus are stimulated. These heat loss centers are located in which nucleus? Try to remember, preoptic nucleus of hypothalamus. Okay, so when body temperature increases, what they do is now they have to reduce the body temperature. So what they do is increase sweating. Sweating is increased, that is one. And second, decrease heat production. Metabolisms are reduced. Like for example, in summer we have less appetite, so heat production decreases. That is a function of heat loss center. Then heat gain centers, they are located in the posterior hypothalamus. So when are they stimulated? When heat gain is required, when body temperature falls. So heat gain centers are stimulated, and how do they work? Their action is they cause, number one, decrease heat loss, because now we require heat, so decrease heat loss. And second thing what they do is increase heat production, like shivering we have. So increase heat production. So these are the mechanisms how heat loss and heat gain centers are working. So we discussed 5 mechanisms. One is extracellular fluid, second is transport, third is excretion, regulation of acid-base balance, regulation of body temperature, then water and electrolyte balance. For regulation of water and electrolyte balance, we have a renal system, skin, we have lungs and digestive system. Then all these functions are regulated. We have in our body, we have 2 kinds of systems. Number one is working system, means they are working, and number 2 are regulating, means regulating all these working systems. Okay, so regulating systems are, one is our nervous system. Nervous system gives immediate response, immediate regulation. Okay, and second is endocrine system, that gives delayed response. I will give you example. For example, nervous system regulation. If you have placed your hand on the hot object, you immediately withdraw your hand, that is nervous regulation. Endocrine regulation, delayed. For example, suppose you have increased growth hormone, you will not find increase in the height immediately, so it takes few days. So this is endocrine, delayed response. Okay, so a nervous system also is somatic and autonomic. We will discuss in detail in our subsequent lectures. And last but not least, reproductive function. Reproductive system, that is not important for the survival, but survival of individual. It is not important for survival of individual, but it is important for survival of species. Because if reproduction is not there, then species cannot be continued. Okay, so this is about various systems. Now we'll discuss mechanism of action of homeostasis, how homeostatic mechanisms they work. So homeostasis, it explains our various physiological functions. So it is regulated mainly by the name is known as feedback regulation. Okay, feedback regulation. So what is this feedback regulation? Whenever any variable, we have discussed set point, it is a variable which fluctuates. So whenever the value of variable which deviates from its normal range. Okay, suppose as we have discussed our body temperature, how was the normal body temperature? We have discussed that is 36.3 to 37.1 degrees Celsius. When it fluctuates from this is normal range. Okay, it is detected by our senses, and this information is given to the integrating centers. Okay, okay, and then after that, this integrating centers through feedback mechanism, they bring the change back to the normal. Okay, so this is the basic mechanism for the action of homeostasis. Now, of feedback system. Feedback system, they have receptors. Receptors means they are sensitive to the stimulus. Whenever any stimulus, these receptors get stimulated. Second is this information from receptor is going to the controlling center. So they receive the information. Number one is receive. After receiving, what they do is they process the information, assess, and after that they send signals to the effector. And what is the action? The effectors, they perform the action. So this is the, you would say that this is the mechanism. Okay, so whenever there is any stimulus, first is our stimulus. It stimulates our receptors, which are also known as sensors. Receptors or sensors send signals to the controlling center, and through effector they work. Okay, so these are the components. Okay, feedback systems, they regulate changes in the homeostasis by two mechanisms. Number one is negative feedback mechanism, and number two, that is positive feedback mechanism. Now, what is the meaning of feedback? Feedback means output signals. You can see here, this is input, this is output. So output signals, they are going back to input. The literal meaning of feedback is output is passing back to input. Now let us start with the negative feedback. So what do you mean by negative feedback mechanism? So here in negative feedback mechanism, output signals, they negative means they inhibit or they decrease the change which is made by input. So they are known as corrective mechanism. Is this mechanisms, they involve action which is in opposite direction to the input one. Okay, and they maintain homeostasis. They correct excessive stimulation by input signal. If input signal is producing excessive stimulation, that is corrected. So by this way, negative feedback stabilizes its own function and maintains homeostasis. Okay? So what happens, suppose if there is deficiency of any factor or excess of anything, through negative feedback it is regulated. We have already discussed, we will be discussing some more examples also. So here first example is, you can see here, thyroid hormone. So you can see here, our hypothalamus releases hormone known as TRH. TRH full form is TSH releasing hormone. Okay, and this TSH releasing hormone stimulates anterior pituitary and releases TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. This thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates thyroid gland and secretes T3 and T4. And when our thyroid hormone level increases, what they do is they give feedback inhibition to hypothalamus as well as to anterior pituitary, and they inhibit the secretion of TSH and TRH. So you can say that our T3 T4 level is regulated, that will not be going to increase. Okay, so this is one of the examples. So many other systems, they are working, most of our regulating systems, they are working through negative feedback mechanism. Now next one is positive feedback mechanism. This positive feedback mechanism, here the word itself suggests that output signals, they amplify the change which is made by input signal. Okay, so output signals, they stimulate input, and here is a vicious cycle, means output excites input, input excites output. So initial stimulus produces response which is increased. One of the example is childbirth. At the time of delivery of baby, what happens? There is movement of fetus into the cervix. Cervix means it is, you can see, suppose this is the uterus, okay, and the neck of the uterus, suppose this is baby. So head of the baby here at the neck of uterus, cervix, it is stretched by the movement of the fetus, and whenever the cervix getting dilated here, okay, what happens? This information is going to our hypothalamus, releases oxytocin. Okay, and this oxytocin here, oxytocin, it is one of the very important hormone. Okay, and this oxytocin, it reaches to the uterus and it causes more contraction of uterus. More the uterus contraction, more will be the stretching of cervix. More stretching of cervix, more will be the release of oxytocin. So this is a vicious cycle. Yeah? And another important thing, positive feedback mechanisms, they continue till the stimulus is there. For example, till the delivery of baby. When the baby is delivered, then this positive feedback mechanisms, the vicious cycle, it stops. Okay, so this is one of the examples. Next example of the positive feedback is clot formation here. So here what happens? Clotting. Whenever our blood vessel gets injured, injury to blood vessel, it initiates the clotting mechanism, and various factors, one factor stimulates the second stimulates the third. Finally, thrombin is activated. This thrombin again has positive feedback on other clotting factors. So this is again here is a vicious cycle. Okay, for the clot formation. Third one is generation of nerve impulse. Here it is also vicious cycle. Progressively, sodium ions, they leak through the sodium channel, and sodium ions, suppose here these channels they open for sodium ions, they lead to opening of the sodium channels of the neighboring part, like this. So this is a positive feedback. Okay, so this is also known as Hodgkin cycle. So this is all about our positive and negative feedback mechanism. Next is delayed feedback, which is also known as feed forward control or adaptive control or delayed negative feedback mechanism. What is it? Whenever our body movements occur very fast, rapidly, so we are not getting enough time for the impulse to travel from the periphery to the brain and coming back to the normal. So here what we require is very fast response, and this is in the form of feed forward control. So here sensory nerve signals from the part, they pass on the brain whether the movement is performed correctly or not. If it is not performed, then brain modifies it and sends signals to the muscle that next time this movement is to be corrected, but this time this information is not going to the brain, just it is going to the muscle for performance of the action. So this is known as feed forward, means suppose from muscle to the spinal cord center, it is coming back to the muscle only, so not going to the brain. So this is adaptive control or feed forward control or delayed negative feedback, it is known as. One more important topic here is feedback gain. Now, feedback gain means degree of effectiveness of the control mechanism. It is calculated by the formula correction upon error. Means when our feedback system is working, how much it causes correction and how much error is left. If, for example, suppose we are infusing large amount of blood to a person whose baroreceptor mechanism is not working. So normal blood pressure of the individual, which was 100, okay, it rises from 100 when we are infusing blood, it rises from 100 to 175 millimeter of mercury. Okay, and same thing when we are infusing blood to the individual whose baroreceptors are working, then it rises from 100 to 125 mmHg. So now how can we calculate the gain? So gain is equal to correction upon error. So correction is, you can see correction, how much it is corrected is equal to, instead of 120, instead of 175 it is 120. So 125 minus 175 means correction is 50 mmHg by our baroreceptor mechanism, but 25 is not corrected, still from 100 it may reach to 125, so divided by 25, so the gain is 2. Okay, if the gain is more, effectiveness is more. Am I clear? Again I repeat, if the baroreceptors are working, our blood pressure, when we are infusing blood, our blood pressure rises from 100 to 125, but baroreceptors are not working, that is 175. So correction is equal to how much it is corrected. Instead of 175, baroreceptors will allow to rise 125. So correction is minus 50. And how much could not be corrected is 25. So this is the gain. So many times this may be asked in the NEET as a question. Calculate the gain of this feedback mechanism. So this is all about today's topic. Questions from today's topic. This kind of questions will be there. Number one is homeostatic feedback control, one of the question, or positive and negative feedback mechanism. These are the PYQ university questions. Okay, short notes: negative feedback mechanism, positive feedback mechanism, and homeostasis. If you want to find out all these question answers, they are given in my book. Link for the book is given in the description box. If you want to get soft copy, you have to go to the Play Store and download the application PHYSIOLOGY. Its link is also given in the description box. Thank you so much.